All right, everyone, welcome into season number 2, week number 3 of H2H, the head-to-head show in which myself and Tasos battle it out each and every week to see who can come out with the most units in this sports betting NFL universe. Tasos, I use the word battle. I am now 4-0 in both weeks 1 and 2. You're starting to get a little comfortable in my lap as I pet you. How are we feeling after getting swept against again? I know we did say before we started recording, I was like, it's tough to compete with 4-0 regardless. Like, I'm not squeaking out these, 2-2 games against you and just win by units. So maybe that gives you some solace, but how are we feeling?
So, first off, congratulations. I got to give claps. I mean, 8-0 in the first 2 weeks is very impressive. It's something that I normally would do. So very impressive. The only thing I can say is that I'm happy I'm getting my bad performances out of the way early. And like you said, you're going 4-0 anyway. So even if I went 3-1, I'm happy I'm not wasting these good performances on a matchup where I was bound to lose anyways. And the only other thing I'll say, because I don't want to take too much time here, in hockey, they say 2-0 is the most dangerous lead to have. So you may be up 2-0, but I wouldn't feel too comfortable if I were you. There's a lot of football left, a long season ahead. 2 games back, I'm not worried.
I don't feel all that comfortable. In fact, I've been like rock solid on my picks and seeing the board clearly the first couple weeks. This is the first week of the NFL season now where I'm kind of like, all right, got to dig a little bit. This doesn't seem as easy. I don't spot the value as much. So we'll see how this episode goes. But it feels pretty good to be just like calling the shot. I'm winning the wheel. I'm winning the plays. So it's good stuff. But I do give you a little bit of credence there in the fact that, like, if you're going to lose, you might as well just have your bad weeks out of the way because you don't want to waste a 75% correct week or anything like that. But guys, if you are new to H2H, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. We got a lot of love on last week's video. Appreciate the crap out of that. Tasos and I put a lot of work into this show. And we think it's really unique, really fun, and a different angle of this sports betting world in the YouTube verse. So hopefully you guys do appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I think we got nearly 8K in last week's videos, Tasos.
So yeah, I think it was just shy of 8,000, which is our record high for this show.
For sure. So if we can run that up again, guys, comment, subscribe, all that, we'd love it. If you don't know what the show is, again, we battle it out each and every week, but we have a wheel spin to decide how we go about our bets. It'll spin to see who goes first, and then each round we will spin to see the betting category. Tasos is ready to jump into it.
I'm ready. You know what? You said that you're, and that gets me excited because you're saying that you're not seeing things as clearly.
Yep.
To me, the board's opening up more. I feel like I need those first couple of weeks to see things first. Now I'm starting to see the trends. I'm starting to see the patterns. I'm feeling confident. The board's speaking to me this week. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, let's see if the wheel speaks to you. You guys are going to see a wheel on your screen in just a second. Whoever this lands on, that is who is going to go first. This is a snake draft. We'll spin a second wheel right afterwards, and it's going to show what category we're in. But Tasso, sounds like you want the wheel, right? The wheel's been dictating who wins.
Because the wheel hasn't been my friend. It hasn't been my friend the first couple weeks. So, I would like the first pick, but I'm not mad if I don't get it. I have a lot of options on the board this week. So
it's more category based anyways, right? More category.
The world's my oyster.
All right. I feel like we start every wheel spin like that. I love it. All right, let's spin this thing.
It can't get any worse than last week. Last week, the wheel really did bend me over.
This is going to land dead on your name.
Yep. That's good. That's good. All right. Now let's see what the second spin is, though. That's the important thing.
Yep. So now we're going to pop another another wheel up on your screen, and it's going to be a
He's messing up.
We're back to normal. We are back to normal here. But all right. So we have spread, total, player prop, money line. We only have one Thursday night football play in this one because last week, 2 of the 4 picks for each of us. So 4 picks out of the 8 were Thursday night football. No big deal. I went 2-0, but we don't really love that. The whole board is messed up by the Thursday night game, but we did add one new one in Tasos in place of that Thursday night football. It's plus money play. So anything plus 100 or beyond will suffice, but anything you're liking here, what's your main category that you might be eyeing? Because I have a few light ones this week. I'll be honest. Like I said, not seeing it all that well.
To be totally honest with you, and going opposite what we did last week, I actually have a pretty good idea of Thursday night this week, so I wouldn't mind a Thursday night play. I think I have a pretty juicy Thursday night play.
Okay, that's interesting. I have one play as well, and it would stink if you got that right. But all right, let's spin this thing. If we get Thursday night, I want to be going first, which I'm not right now.
I cooked something up for that one. We're not going to get it. We're going to get a player prop here.
Yep.
which is fine. Which is fine.
All right, starting it off with a player prop.
All right. I'm actually going to go ahead with that Thursday night play. So this actually works out well. I could have saved this for Thursday night. I'm going to go and use it now because I do love this prop. I'm going Ramondre Stevenson here over 67.5 rushing yards. I'm seeing it for minus 120 here. It looks like it's on DraftKings minus 120. Look, Ramondre for the first 2 weeks of the season has been fantastic running the football. The Patriots' offensive line, to their credit, has been better than I thought they were going to be, specifically in run blocking. Ramondre's had a lot of success. And the New York Jets defensive line has struggled the first couple of weeks with running the football. You saw week one, Jordan Mason kind of did whatever he wanted. Tony Pollard even had some success running on this team. The Jets' run defense is not as good as before. I think their defensive line, obviously now they expected Hassan Reddick was going to play. He obviously hasn't, which isn't good for them. But they let a lot of guys go, and they were kind of hoping they would just kind of build it on the fly. Their defensive line is not as good as it was a year ago, and you can see it. Their run defense is nowhere near as potent. I do think that the Patriots, if they're going to win this game, if they're going to be competitive in this game, it's got to be on the ground. They've been running the ball absolutely fantastic the first 2 weeks. So I do like Ramondre here over 67.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, so far in this season, there's not much to go off of that. The only thing I'll say, and this is not, we're not getting back to the basics of, like hating the picks or not. I still do like this pick, so I'm not upset with it. But what I will say is I feel like, and I'm not giving anything away. This really doesn't correlate to if we have Thursday Night Football as a slice. It'll give away my pick, so don't worry. But I feel like the Patriots and potentially even him may be due for a little regression in the sense of, even though they're 1-1, they've actually competed in 2 games that no one really thought that they would have. I know people liked the Seahawks after the Seahawks matchup for the Patriots after they played well game number 1. So if you're talking fading the Jets defense and all that, I get it. I think my one little gripe would be, we haven't seen the bad Patriots yet. Now, as Patriots fans, both of us, I think we're both pretty optimistic after weeks 1 and 2. Like, it stinks to lose that. But if I just take myself, 2.5 weeks back in time, I'd be thinking this Patriots team isn't going to do well. This line isn't very good, all that. And it could happen if both these teams kind of snap back to where they should be, like the good defense of the Jets and the bad offense of the Patriots. But that's kind of like hearsay. You know what I mean? That's an if way of defending it. So I can't knock it too much. But does that make sense? Like, if we just see returning to form, like
So it does a little bit. There's one or two things here. The first one being that I think, even if, like, listen, and no one's been, I think, more down on this Patriots team than I have as a Pats fan. Like, I thought this team was going to be like a 4-win team. I actually now think that might be different. They look a lot better than I thought. But the one area that I thought they were going to be successful was still running the football. Ramondre Stevenson has had a very solid career with New England. And so that was the one area where I thought, even with the offensive line being as bad as it wasn't good last year either. Ramondre, before getting hurt, was having a solid season. So that's one area where I thought the Patriots were always going to be good anyways. So I don't really think there's going to be a ton of regression. From a data standpoint, he has cashed this dating back to last year in 5 of his last 7 games. And the last time they played the Jets back in September of last season that Ramondre played, he was hurt in that season finale game. He had 59 rushing yards versus them, which obviously is below this line. But again, that Jets defensive line is better than the one we have now. And that's where I don't think this is a thing where the Jets are going to just snap back into form. They lost some key pieces. They let some guys go. They didn't want to pay some of these guys, and they obviously went ahead and left. And, they brought in Hassan Reddick from the Eagles, hoping that he would replace some of those guys that were lost. And Hassan Reddick obviously isn't playing. He's holding out. So if Hassan Reddick plays, I think this is a different story. But, they obviously still have Quentin Williams. This defensive line still has some pieces. But overall, it is weaker than it was. They have a bunch of guys they just kind of thrown in there and hoping it'll work.
Mm-hmm.
So far, it hasn't. And like I said, you look at Jordan Mason. Now, granted, the Niners' offensive line significantly better. But he ran all over this Jets defense in week 1. And even the Titans last week, they had some success running the football on this Jets defense. So I don't think it's something that the Jets are just going to flip a switch and they're going to get back into form. I think this, and especially with their schedule, they played now 3 games, including this Thursday game, 3 games in 10 days. They're going to be fatigued. They're going to be tired. So I don't know. I liked Ramondre here in this over. If the Patriots are going to get yards, it's got to be on the ground.
All right, that's fair enough. I think that rationale is fair enough. I'm going in a different direction here. And by the way, before I do jump into mine, wanted to shout out the show's sponsor, Outlier. I used Outlier to find this play, but it also mix in a little bit of the Ev juice because it's a revenge pick. But guys, if you don't know what Outlier is, it is by far and away Tasos my favorite way of finding player props and everything like that. So make sure to go check it out. That link is going to be in the pinned comment. You get 7 days free with that. And after that, it's $19.99 per month. So it's actually really, 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 really price, conscious tool and everything. You're not going to get banged with a bunch of thousands and hundreds of dollars of price after that. So make sure to check out Outlier. But Tasos, the direction that I'm going in, like I said, a little revenge juice here. Stephon Diggs, over 46.5 receiving yards against his old team, the Minnesota Vikings. He has not hit that yet this season, but he's going up against the Vikings, who so far in 2 games have allowed the 6th most, or I want to say 7th most receiving yards to their opposing players. I think they go to Diggs early and often here. I don't mind the matchup against them. And again, it's a revenge game in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. So I like it.
Calling it a revenge game is kind of a stretch. Like, I do get it. He's a former Viking, but like, he's been gone from there for quite a few years now. He already had his revenge game. He played them when he was with the Bills. So I feel like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure returning to Minnesota, there's always a little extra there for Stephon Diggs, but like, calling it a revenge game is a little bit of a stretch. I think
I'd say him being on a new team going to Minnesota again. Like, this is the first time now as a Texan going to Minnesota.
Yeah, but what is left from, like, it's been a while since he's played for the Vikings. Who is even still there from when he was there? Like, I don't even think Kevin O'Connell was the coach. I think they still had Mike Zimmer at the time.
I don't think it's a matter of them being a revenge to him, but like CJ Stroud, this new Texas team, like, it's just one added piece of, hey, this is your old building. Let's get you going here. Like, these guys haven't played with Stephon Diggs against Minnesota. So maybe revenge is the wrong word if we get semantical about it. Like, it's not like a get back at you game, but it's back in the building. He obviously made his hay as a Minnesota Viking, and now he's got the new offense to go in there to Minnesota with him.
I guess I still wouldn't call. Like I said, I think this is so far removed now. I think now this is Buffalo. This absolutely stands. That's a revenge game, but I don't hate it just because I agree with the Vikings' pass defense doesn't look fantastic. The only thing I'd provide caution here is the fact that, like, the targets have kind of been there for Diggs in week 1, week 2. I think that CJ Stroud and him don't have a connection yet.
Yep.
And you're seeing that in the target share. You see he's very much still going to Nico Collins, and Nico Collins is still his number 1 option. Now, Tank Dell was the number 2 in week 1. In week 2, Tank Dell took a massive drop in targets. So the targets are kind of fluctuating. You can see this Texans team is still trying to figure things out offensively, what the hierarchy is. Who's obviously Nico Collins is number 1. After that, you can see they're clearly still figuring things out. Again, I don't hate it, but that's the only thing I'd be cautious about with this play is the fact that I don't think Diggs and Stroud are synced in just yet. I know he did have 2 touchdowns, obviously, in week 1, but that's where I'd be a little cautious on this.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay with that take on it because he's gotten 6 targets each of his 2 games now with the Texans. And if they only have, better to go from here in a sense, if you give Stephon Diggs 6 touchdowns, I love the idea of over 46.5 yards. Do you know what I mean? Just in theory. So if he can have what he's had both times, I think he only had, let's see, Outlier can get that really quick, 4 receptions on 6 targets last week. He hasn't hit this yet this season, but my point being, if you're going to tell me Stephon Diggs gets 6 targets, that he catches the ball 4 or 5 times, I really don't mind the idea of him just getting to 47 yards. So yes, I give you the point, and I do agree totally with the idea that he hasn't really hit it fully with CJ Stroud and whatnot, but I feel like if you're going to get at least somewhat of the target weight, there's only up to go from there. And 6 targets is more than enough for a guy like him who can route run and even catch deep balls to be able to hit over here. So yeah, I still stand by it's a revenge game, but you know what? I understand it's not. Maybe like homecoming game. I don't know. Maybe there's a better word, but I think
it's a nostalgia game. It's a nostalgia game.
Sure.
He's back in Minnesota. He remembered, he obviously had some great plays there during his day, but I just like a revenge game to me is like when you like if he plays Buffalo, it's a revenge game. Like I don't think there's anybody in that Vikings building anymore who's even connected to when he was like new coaching staff, new quarterback. I don't know any players who are. And
I feel like the fans probably like still like him to some degree. Like it's been long enough for that. But fine, if he goes for like 100+ yards, I think you're gonna know that he was fired up about it. So maybe we'll just see how many. If he goes for like 20 yards, it's gonna be like, he doesn't care either. Clearly, it's not a revenge game. But if he goes off, which I'm thinking he might, then all of a sudden maybe I can have a little bit more points on my side here of. It was something. It's a something game.
I'll give you one angle, and just because I'm nice, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying not to be mean this year. Although I think I have to start being mean because my record's not reflecting being the nice guy. I am finishing last.
The nice guy is finishing last so far. You're right.
The one angle I can give you on this though, and now that I'm thinking about it, is like honestly, I forgot Stephon Diggs played for the Vikings because the year after they got rid of Diggs, they draft Justin Jefferson, and Jefferson obviously has become like the best receiver in the NFL. Fair. It could be an angle of like, hey. you guys forgot about me because Jay Jettis came in. Now remember who I am. Like, this is
Yeah,
remember
you took
me.
the words right out of my mouth. I was going to get there eventually. I think that's exactly what I was getting at. All right. Well, that's our 2 player props here in round number 1. We do remove that player prop slice from the wheel, but now we move into round number 2. Snake draft. I'm going first. Tasos, I think I want that Thursday night football play because, well, I think
you don't have what I have. I'm going to tell you. If you do, I'll be shocked. You don't have what I. So I'm fine with it.
So and it's not the one you just said, obviously.
No, I have another one.
Oh man, because I would tell you definitely don't have what I have either. So this could be huge if I get this. I if we do get Thursday night, I don't mind if we don't, but I want to be going first when we do.
What a difference from last week, huh?
I know.
Like last
seriously.
week we're like, please, no, and this week we're like, please give us Thursday night.
All right, we have a plus money play here.
This one was going to be a tough category for me. I'm not going to lie.
I think I'm going to pull the trigger on it because I don't know if we're getting Thursday night. And my plus money play is from Thursday Night Football. I'm going to go, it's a player prop. Aaron Rodgers over 20.5 completions. His normal line's at 19.5, but for plus 100 on DraftKings, and I believe ESPN right now, you can get over 20.5. Aaron Rodgers has not necessarily looked tremendous to this line yet, so I don't have this season's, I guess, argument on my side. But overall, this Patriots team has let Joe Burrow go over and Geno Smith go over. And Joe Burrow did, like, I'm surprised he was able to. Do you know what I mean? So Aaron Rodgers for plus money in a spot in which he just needs 21 completions against a Patriots team that's allowing more completions than nearly anyone in the league, and their completion percentage is only a few off the most here. I don't mind it. Thursday Night Football, the Jets haven't looked as good, even though they won last week. Like, they could have lost that game, and they haven't looked all that great yet. I think this could be a Jets spot for them to come out here, and at least Aaron Rodgers gets things chugging along, if that makes sense. So Aaron Rodgers over 20.5 pass completions.
I don't hate it. The only thing I'd be a little bit afraid of here is that I could foresee this game being one more on the ground. Like, I could definitely see the Jets kind of leaning into Breece Hall a little bit. The Patriots are a little banged up front now. Juwan Bentley's done for the year. Obviously, Judon's gone. Barmore's out for a while. So up front, the Patriots, their run defense has been decent through the first 2 weeks. Now, to be fair, the running backs they faced, Zach Charbonnet, who is the Seahawks backup, and Zach Moss for the Bengals, who was a backup and now is a starter because the Bengals don't have anybody else. I don't really know what the Patriots defense looks like, to be fair. Breece Hall is supposed to be one of the top 5 running backs in the league.
Yep.
I could see this game be more on the ground. Again, I think Ramondre will be on the ground a lot, running the football. The Patriots pass defense is pretty good. I mean, Christian Gonzalez, he's going to be on Garrett Wilson most of the night. I just don't know how this is going to go. Rodgers has been, I don't know what to think of the Jets offense, truthfully, because week 1, they looked awful. And then week 2, it was better. But, even in week 2, I wasn't super impressed. So I don't really know what to think of. So honestly, betting anything on this Jets offense is risky. I give you credit for going for it. You got cojones for taking a Jets player prop in a game like this. But I would just be cautious because I just don't know what to make of this Jets team right now.
Yeah, and I'll give you a little credit there, even with that crossed my mind with the ground game and all that, because that's why I went completions, not attempts. Attempts would be my thought that, the Jets are trailing or they need to throw the ball a lot and whatnot. But for a plus money player, and yes, I'm just kind of skating by with it with plus money, they can kind of get into that game script and establish Breece Hall, whether it's dump off passes and that type of thing. Like, this could be dink and dunk type spots. I wouldn't look for his attempts. I wouldn't necessarily look for his passing touchdowns. I wouldn't look for his, passing yards overall. So when I say completions, it is because I do think he's going to be able to kind of move the ball up the field, not necessarily go ball out. Like 21 completions, that's how many Joe Burrow had in week 1, and we would never call that like a Joe Burrow game. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
All right. I don't totally hate it. Again, I'm not in love with it, but my thing is, like, I just don't want to touch the Jets offense right now. I need to see it a couple more weeks. I need to see how it's going to look in a couple of weeks. But, again, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I think he cashed this last week, didn't he?
No, I think he only had 18.
Okay. So
he's yet to cash it this year, but that's kind of, not going to lie, I don't think you're going to be able to get, we can check back on this if we remember midway through the season. I don't think we're going to be able to get a 20.5 for plus money Aaron Rodgers prop in terms of completions midway through the year. I think that he's only going to get more in sync with these guys.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
All right, what do you got
Um,
for plus money here?
Man, I got options, and I'm really torn because I have a couple props that intrigue me, and I have a money line that intrigues me. The money line one, however, though, I'm looking at it. What I usually like to look for is not there, so I'm gonna go ahead. All right, I'll go with the prop. God, this is tough because they're both kind of in the same ballpark. Trying to solve for time here. Oh, I just gotta make a decision. Fuck. Sorry for swearing. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna go with this one. I'm gonna go with Rashid Shaheed, anytime touchdown, plus 170. 100% hit
Wow.
rate so far this year. He's cashed it in the first 2 games. The Eagles secondary, kind of suspect overall. They are bottom half in the league in touchdowns allowed. And versus the wide receiver, they have actually given up the second most touchdowns to the wide receiver position so far this year. I mean, if you watched that game last night on Monday Night Football, Drake London and Darnell Mooney had a couple touchdowns there. So in Rashid Shaheed, I mean, this Saints offense, I don't know how real this Saints team is. I have a hard time buying into any Derek Carr led team because I feel like a lot of fool's gold when it comes to him. But Rashid Shaheed's been playing really well. Obviously, he's kind of the wide receiver too. Chris Olave kind of steals a lot of the attention from the defense, so it could open things up for Shaheed. I just think the value plus 170 for a guy who has already got a touchdown in each of the first 2 games this year, and obviously he's somebody that Derek Carr seems to be very comfortable with. The target share, he's actually the most targeted receiver so far on the Saints, which is pretty interesting. 23% target share, so interesting. I just think for plus money, it's kind of crazy. I think it's pretty good value there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I really like it for that price. Again, what plus 170, right?
Plus
This
170.
is an Eagles team, and I've bet both slot receivers so far this year against the Eagles. It was Ray McLeod. He just barely cashed his receptions, but still did. I had Jaden Reed for a touchdown and his receptions in week number 1 when Packers played the Eagles. And this is Shaheed, who's dynamic just like those two guys. He flies around. He's definitely faster, but he plays out of the slot a lot. And this is an Eagles team that just seems to give up plays to the slot receiver. So yeah, you couldn't really pick a better type of a spot. I will agree with you. I don't know how real this Saints team is. I don't know how they'll fare this week. This Eagles defense, while it is pretty bad against the pass and whatnot, still has a lot of playmakers on it. And I can totally see Derek Carr just having a good year and just kind of so far and just getting into stupid trouble and making some Derek Carr-esque throws. But overall, like again, like I'm more confident in this than I would be with their number one receiver Olave potentially catching a touchdown, just due to the fact that this Shaheed one he's done in both games, but that's the number one receiver. This is the slot guy, and slot guys have been very good. I think he's played in the slot like over half of his passing snaps. So yeah, I don't mind it whatsoever. Plus 170. Don't hate it.
It's
Like
just
I
great.
might.
It's just great. It's just great. And I had another one. I'm not gonna say it because I might save it for later. I don't think I'm gonna use it, but there was another touchdown player prop where I was like, that one's probably. It was definitely safer, and the odds obviously reflected that. But again, plus 170. He's cashed it dating back to last year. Now Rashid Shaheed's cashed in 4 of his last 5 games. Those numbers are brought to you by Outlier. So I mean, he's averaging 0.8 touchdowns per game over his. I mean, he's cashed it obviously both games this year, the season finale last year, and then their game versus the Rams on December 21st. So really good data overall last year. It was just a 40% hit rate, 6 out of 15 games. He hit the touchdown, but still, I mean, he scores enough touchdowns where, it's worth, again, for plus 170. My only fear is that so far this year, the Saints have went way more run heavy than they've
Yep.
been pass heavy. Now, to be fair, both their games were blowouts, so it makes sense why they were running the football a little bit more than passing it. But, Shaheed leads the team in targets. You know how many targets he has?
How many?
9 in 2 games. So like they're not throwing the football much. So like he leads the team in target share, but it's only 9 targets. So it's he had 4 targets yesterday, 5 on Sunday, 5 targets week 1. So he's really not getting the ball thrown his way too much. But when he is, he's getting them in really good situations. So again, for plus 170, I don't think you can beat that price tag.
All right, fair enough. And I love the positional aspect of it as well. But all right, let's jump into round number 3. You are starting us off in this one. And then we move into the fade me round. If you guys don't know what the fade me round is, stick around just a little bit longer here. Because one of the things that makes the show very unique. But Tasos, I'm going to spin this one. Now we have pretty much just the normals on the board. We still have, we do actually have Thursday Night Football play. We both have something going for it, but we haven't had that slice yet. But then we have money line, we have player prop, we have 2 totals, 2 spreads left. Anything that you're kind of eyeing as our last wheel spin?
I still want this Thursday night. I think this Thursday night pick is just it's as close to a lock as I can possibly give out. Like I don't believe in locks. I don't because it's nothing's a lock in gambling. But when it comes to this, I feel like it's a lock.
Okay, that will put me in a tough spot because that Aaron Rodgers one was kind of my shoehorn Thursday Night Football play, so that could put me in a tough spot. I'd have to scramble to think of one if we end up landing on it. Let's spin it.
Fingers crossed, because I can't use it as a fade me. It's not going to happen. We're going to get another player prop. I don't like that. I didn't come with a lot of player props.
A lot of props today.
Yeah, I didn't, and that's the one thing I don't think I really came prepared for. So that's interesting. All right.
You are starting us off. That buys me a little bit of time here.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is where I was like, I'm hoping I didn't have that. Oh God. All right. All right, we're gonna go ahead and rock with this play here, and it's a little risky, but I'm fading my guy here, and I hate to do because he's really been impressive.
Okay,
that week 1 take's looking better and better.
Mm-hmm.
I am gonna go ahead with Sam Darnold here under 218.5 passing yards. We are getting that for minus 115 on DraftKings. It is minus 110 on Bet365 if you do use that, but it looks like for the general population sportsbook, like one that we all use, minus 115 on DraftKings. He did cash this in week 1 against the Niners. He had 200. Sorry, not against the Niners, the Giants. He had 208. He had a massive game against the 49ers last week, 268 yards. Can I just get can I get my roses for that take? Like I look crazy for that week 1 take. He's looked really good.
Yeah, and in all fairness, like really good. Like and I know we're only really 2 weeks in, but like MVP conversation right now. I've seen that on social media and whatnot. So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, Tasos called Minnesota money line in week 1. And I think that was plus money, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
I'm not
sure. I had the -1.
Okay, -1. Okay, so either way, so it was all centered around Sam Darnold and whatnot, and he looked damn good. He only missed like 2 passes. I think he was like 23 of 26 or something, or I don't even know what it was. But yeah, you were spot on so far about that one.
But now, and it's funny because I'm saying that, and now I'm saying I'm going to go with the under here in his passing yards. I just think that, and the Niners are a pretty good defensive team overall. I just think the Texans are a tough matchup here for a passing yard over. If you look at their 2 games so far this year, Anthony Richardson, 212 passing yards. That obviously cashes the under here. And then against the Bears on Sunday Night Football, Caleb Williams, 174 passing yards. So this under has cashed in both meetings for the Texans this season, for both games for Houston this year. Their pass defense is pretty good. They're 10th in the NFL in passing yards allowed, 166.5 per game. So this is a top 10 defense in passing yards allowed. They obviously have a lot. The Texans went ahead, and the Texans team's actually absolutely stacked defensively. I did my Sunday Night Football video, and while I was talking about it, I forgot about all the guys they have on that defense. It's pretty solid. So this is honestly more about fading Darnold. I think that the public now is starting. This is what happens. The public now is starting to get high on him. The Vikings already, I think, I want to say if they're not favored, they're only like 2.5 point underdogs in this game. It's pretty close. So people are starting to realize, hey, this Darnold thing is happening. But Jordan Addison is hurt. He's out for this game. I don't know how it's going to affect them. Obviously, you still have Justin Jefferson, who is a big risk there. A big threat against the Texans defense. But I do think with Jordan Addison being hurt, this Vikings run attack, I think they're going to be able to run the football a little bit more. The Texans run defense has been okay. I think 218.5. A lot of quarterbacks have been cashing the under here. The first few weeks of the year, we haven't seen a lot of big passing performances. Darnold, again, he is coming off a really big one versus the 49ers. I just don't see him doing it again just this week. I think it's a bad matchup for Darnold here.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I can say it now because it's not gonna be my fade me if I get in. We don't have any total spins left. But I kind of like the under of this game overall as well. So I think that kind of fits right into what you're saying in terms of the quarterback having the under and passing yards. Now mine kind of goes in a different direction here. I'm fading the quarterback, but it's almost like I hate these bets, but they are absolutely electric. It's Lamar Jackson over 0.5 interceptions, so he needs to throw one interception.
Oh,
That's minus 115 right now. And I think if you were to tell me, okay, Lamar, obviously he can kind of get into trouble sometimes and get a little wild where he's scrambling and then chuck something he shouldn't. He's gotten so much better at it in the last few years and whatnot, and maybe even last year being one of the better years. But if I had to pick and he threw his interception last week, but if I had to pick a team that is just as aggressive defensively as he is sometimes offensively, it is the Dallas Cowboys. And they forced 3 interceptions through 2 games so far, albeit 2 worst quarterbacks in Deshaun Watson and then Derek Carr. But yeah, I think that this could be a perfect game script for a close game. He's gonna be throwing the ball plenty, and I think that this is the type of Dallas team that gets aggressive, and kind of their defense overall can force him into some situations where he takes more of a chance. Now, he's only played the Cowboys dating back a few years ago. I think he did have an interception in that game as well. A lot of different guys on that Cowboys defense, so I don't really want to use that as too much. But I think that he slips up and makes a mistake here in this spot. I was almost looking to see if I could find like a turnover line, because it would be great to have a running quarterback also throw in, like, maybe pay a little bit more juice, but have like a fumble chance type of a thing.
yeah.
Couldn't find it, so it is over 0.5 interceptions for minus 115.
Yeah, the only thing I'd be worried about a little bit is, and this is kind of the hard part of early season football, is you don't know, especially there's 2 games in, you don't know if this is a thing, or it was an aberration, was it a one time thing?
Yep.
The Cowboys' run defense looked awful. Alvin Kamara, 115 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. The Saints as a team averaged 4.9 yards per carry, 190 rushing yards on 39 carries
Yep.
last week. So the Cowboys' run defense did not look good. I'm trying to look back. I forget week 1 what the numbers were.
Jerome Ford, he had 44,
44.
and then
Yeah,
Pierre Strong only
not,
had
not
10.
so that's why, but it is another 4.9 yards per carry. I mean,
Yep.
so it's still. So the one area where I would be concerned for you is that Lamar could maybe not throw the ball as much in this game, because I could see them. Obviously, they've been trying to get Derrick Henry more involved. He's been okay so far. I don't think he's been as good as people thought he was going to be.
Yep.
When it comes to his rushing yards and stuff. I think this could be a game where he finally kind of clicks it a little bit. I think you can see Lamar taking off a lot more in this game. I feel like this is a game that's calling for him. Deshaun Watson had 39 rushing yards on 5 carries in week 1, so he had some success running on this Cowboys defense. So the one area I'd be concerned for you is if they start to run the ball, maybe lean into the rushing more, because I agree with you. If you put Lamar in the pocket, especially when you have Micah Parsons running at him,
Yeah.
there's definitely an opportunity for some interceptions. He's not a good pocket passer. I think I've been
Right.
saying that I think it's not really a hot take. I think if you watched him his whole career, it's been his biggest, and it's funny because as a quarterback, you'd think that'd be your strength is sitting and throwing the football. His strength is when he rolls out and he can, use his footwork and use his speed to his advantage. When he has to just sit there like an old school quarterback in the pocket and just throw, is when he makes his mistakes. It's when he kind of shows his weaknesses. So I agree with you. I don't hate the spot. He did throw a pick last week. My only fear would be Baltimore leans into the running game a little bit more in this game and kind of takes advantage of a Cowboys run defense that is averaging just shy of 5 yards per carry through their first 2 games this season.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think I have any gripes kind of countering that, because that would be an entire game script that kind of throws it on its rocker. But overall, I do like the idea of, especially if he does get pressured and whatnot, I think that he can get a little happy feet. And we do see some Lamar interceptions being just that. He's still so good, and he's limited his interceptions as he gets better and better and better. But, that sort of, I can almost picture it. Guys getting after him, he kind of just goes like, oh shit, and throws. This is a Cowboys D that takes those chances. They may dive for an interception when they might get burned and all that, but like, I don't mind them missing. I'm not betting on the Cowboys. I'm betting on that Lamar Jackson interception. So I'm okay with Diggs diving for an interception and letting a receiver go and burn them. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's giving us a better chance at that. So it really just comes down to, I think, the fit of what he can tend to do when getting pressured, and then also the aggressiveness of that Cowboys defense. But if it turns into a running game, it's going to shoot itself in the leg anyways. I totally agree. All right. We good to move on to the Fade Me round?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you guys don't know what this round is, we'll pop up the wheel in just a second. But essentially, whoever this lands on. So it's just a wheel with a bunch of Tasoses on there, a bunch of Evs on there. Whoever it lands on gets to pick anything on the entire board, and the other person has to fade it, meaning they do the opposite. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Tasos, you got to be wanting fade me at this point, right? 2 weeks in a row, I've had it, right? And I've won it. Or did you? No, you had it week number
No,
one, but I've won it. Yeah.
the first week I had it, and I took that Jake Ferguson
Yeah.
anytime touchdown, didn't pay off. Last week, honestly, that was probably the worst fade me experience, having to root for Jamar Chase when he's getting, when he's acting the way he is. I hope they don't pay him. Now that I no longer have
I
his
know.
rooting interest, I hope he doesn't get paid, honestly.
You
I
go
hope
right
they just
back
sit him
to
for
it.
the rest of the year.
But
I hate it. I was watching him, like, I have to root for him, but, like, I don't want to. He honestly was annoying me watching him. It's like, dude, like Joe Burrow getting in his face, screaming at him.
Yep.
Terrible look. Terrible look.
Yep. 100%. All right, let's see it. I don't mind you having it. So far, I feel like 50-50, right? I've hit my fade me, but then when you did the Ferguson and I get the opposite of it, I hit that as well. So I'm not like feeling either way. Whoever wins the fade me, like truly at the end of the week, has a huge advantage. But like I don't mind giving you the shot. But it sounds like you have a lock. Would you use that one for fade me, or did you say no?
I don't think I can. I don't know how it would work for fade me. We could talk about it after. I don't know if it would work for that.
Okay. Alrighty. We'll see. All right, let's spin this.
I wanted to. I was thinking about it, but like I just don't know how you would bet the. I guess, man, I'm still not going to go with it.
Oh man, that is close.
It doesn't matter because you got it anyways.
All right, I got it. All right.
Yeah, I had a teaser. My block was a teaser, so that's why I was like, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I guess I wonder how we do that, because I feel like round by round you might be able to do that, but the fade me, you got to be able to bet the opposite. Okay. Anyways, we are looking at me with the fade me now, and this is honestly, I might just get a little fun with this one. I think you might like your side, but I don't know.
You said that last week, and
I did, and you didn't end up liking it. So I might not go with that. I think I might go. Let's see if I can get an alternate line here.
No,
I'm not going to go alt-Ev. I'm not going alt-Ev. Not yet. All right. Do I like this?
If you guys don't know, if you guys didn't watch season 1, Ev would come in with these alternate line bets, and he'd be like, Ev is here. I got this alternate line. It's going to hit. I think his Ev bets were like 2-15. Like he was constantly losing them. It was awful. So he hasn't been out this year. I'm hoping he makes an appearance sometime soon.
That is fair, because that's kind of what was happening. But you know what? This is an interesting one, but I think I'm going to roll with it. And like I said, I don't think you're going to mind it. I had a couple options, but all right, I'm going to go with it. I think a team returns to kind of more of what they did in week number 1 against an offense that defense, excuse me, that I don't think is all that good. The defense looked okay last week, but it was against a different offense. I'm going to go Tampa Bay Bucks over 23.5 for their team total. That's minus 105 on ESPN. And you get the under 23.5, which it's a decent amount of points, Tasos. Under 23.5 for minus 112 on FanDuel. So those are the best odds right there. I think that this is a good Bucks offense. I think Baker's good. Did they look, tremendous last week in their, 20-16 win against? They only scored 20 points last week. But still, they win.
Detroit.
Yeah. So it's, and Washington, they scored, 37, nearly 40 points.
Yeah.
The concern here, like I mentioned, is that the Broncos, who they're playing this week, only let up, it was like, I think, not that many points last week. I forget the exact amount. Probably 15. So it's like,
13.
yeah, but 13.
13. It was 13-6 was the final score, though.
Okay, so 13, like that looks pretty scary in a sense, right? Like, oh, geez, they're coming off of that. But that's a Steelers team that is just totally defensive. I'm hoping that that's the case. You're telling me that, the Bucks can't score 4 more points against this team than they can against that Detroit team. That's where I'm going with it. I got a little, I had a couple juiced plays, but I got a little creative with this one, because I do think that, it's a good spot. And for minus 105, you actually have like the technical favored side via the odds. You have minus 116.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it though. And the reason is because I've unfortunately had wagers on both of the Broncos games this year.
Yeah.
So I've had an opportunity to watch them. Their defense honestly isn't bad. Obviously, Pat Surtain might be the best corner in the NFL. Like, they do have weapons. Like, they have pieces on their defense that are interesting. The problem is that their offense, literally, I would rather claw my eyes out than watch Bo Nix keep running this offense. They just give the ball back so many times. That's my fear. I think Tampa Bay could have like 15 possessions in this game. Like, they may have the ball. So, and that's the thing. Like, it's not like they don't have a running game, so they can't really chew the clock. And even if they do, I mean, they have Javonte Williams, but people know they can't throw the ball. They know Bo Nix has been struggling for the first couple of weeks. So I don't like this. I don't like having. Normally, I would. Normally, I would love this spot. I don't love this right now. Not a fan of this bet, even though I know it is the favorite side necessarily.
Yeah, just odds wise, it really is. It's a pick 'em essentially because we're going both sides. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I already said. I think that this is you bring a good aspect. Like I wish that I even thought of it. That makes me like it more. The idea of them getting the ball back and back. Looking at it now this season, they're tied for the second most turnovers offensively so far throughout the season. Like I was thinking the Bucks have sort of their standard normal. You get the ball, we get the ball. You get the ball, we get the ball. And I like this line still. The fact that this could be maybe they get one or two extra possessions here, which could lead to 3 to 10 points anywhere in there, I'd feel comfortable saying. I do like it even more. That means like half of this number could even be done just via extra possession. So yeah, I like
Well,
it even more.
yeah,
You kind of
like I
convinced
said,
me, but it's fair enough.
I just my thing is, and the reason why I think you running with the over is a smarter play is like I keep going back to that week 1 game versus Seattle where the Broncos were 5 for 18 on third down. And so I mean, and they went for it a couple times on fourth, but for the most part, they just kept punting it. I mean, there was a punt fest that game, and the
Yep.
Seahawks were punting too. But I think and where I'm scared here is that I think the Buccaneers offense is better than Seattle's, more consistent than Seattle's offense. Seattle's offense that game should have scored like 50 points,
Yep.
but they just weren't playing their best. I'm trying to see what the possession numbers were last week versus Pittsburgh, if that changed at all. Trying to see. I mean, it was pretty even. The Steelers had 58 plays in that game. The Steelers did have the majority of possession at 32 minutes. I want to see what it was the exact numbers from the first game because I thought it was crazy. Like I thought it was insane. Broncos, yeah. The Seahawks ran 60 plays. The Broncos actually had the ball more. They had 69 plays. So like, there's a lot of plays, a lot of possession. It's just a lot. It's I don't love the spot. I don't love it. I don't like having to bet against. I don't like having to watch this Broncos team play. And yeah, this is not. This is again second week in a row where you tell me I like it. I don't like it. I
Well, it's
don't
more
like
like
it.
there's a little bit of optimism, right? Like it's not this, like it's, I don't know. I think that's how I view it, but you seem to pull, you take that glass and you're like, well, half full? No, it's half empty. You turn it
You're
upside down
pouring
because
it out.
it's
Well,
like,
they gave up 13 points to the Steelers, and it's like, it's not like oh, well, they play great defense. The Steelers just don't have a good off. Like Justin
right.
Fields does not look good the first couple weeks. So like, yeah, and this is a guy who has the Steelers. I have a season total bet on their over and win. So like, I'm rooting for Pittsburgh to do well, but like, I haven't been impressed by their offense still. I thought bringing in Arthur Smith, and it's still early to be fair, and I think they were more prepared for Russell Wilson to start. I
Yep.
do think Russell Wilson would do better right now than Justin Fields is. But their offense hasn't looked. I mean, they scored 10 points, or 18 points in week 1, and 13 points in week 2. But again, how much of that really is their offense? I think week 1 it was all field goals. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they scored off.
I don't think they scored a touchdown.
Yeah, it was all field goals. So like, this Broncos defense is just. I don't think it's that good. I said Tampa Bay looks really good the first couple of weeks, and I
Yep.
mean, I think the Lions defensively are probably better than the Broncos are. Again, I know the Broncos have some guys, that specifically Pat Surtain. But even if he locks up Mike Evans, they still have Chris Godwin to throw to, and they still have the running backs and stuff. So yeah, I don't love it, but what are you going to do? The wheel has not been my friend so far this year.
It really hasn't. Even when you've won the
Hasn't been
fade
my
me
friend.
round, even when you've won that fade me round, you went with, a historical play that cash for you. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, I don't think so. Don't get too
Yep.
carried away.
Yep.
But we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, that's not a juice line because the strategy, if you guys don't know, with that fade me, it can go for like, trying to pull the trigger on a big plus money play, say on my end this week, and then pigeonholing Tasos into the opposite, meaning even if he hits the fade me, it's only like a minus 180 type of a spot or all that. But this is more of a strategy where I think I'm just getting good value on my side. And you know what? I'll chalk it up to like almost like a normal sports bet. The book would win, Tasos in this case, if I lose, but I do think that I have enough to go on to like the spot. So, yeah, we got anything else? Any housekeeping that we gotta get through before we close up shop?
I don't think so. I will say I like that bet more than last week's fade me. That's my final point on the fade me. I do like it better because I try to talk, and if you rewatch the video, you could see me trying to talk myself into the Jamar Chase thing.
Yeah.
I never liked it. I just I never was. It wasn't a good, like, it was a great bet for you. Like, it was a really smart play. But I do like this better because I do think this has a better. I mean, like you said, it is minus 116. I do think this has a better chance of hitting because I could see, maybe we get a little bit of a sloppy game here. Maybe Tampa Bay, maybe Pat Surtain takes Mike Evans out of it, and Baker Mayfield not having a Mike Evans to rely on, maybe
Okay,
not
yeah.
as good. I don't know.
Could
We'll
be.
see.
I
I'm a
will
little bit
say
more
this
confident.
this number is kind of giving me PTSD. I had Ravens over 23.5 last week, just in my normal NFL picks, and they ended at 23. They turned the ball over with 2 minutes to go. They were
Oh,
tied.
screw Baltimore.
So I mean,
I had a massive teaser last week. I had the Jets and I had the Ravens, and I was like, the Jets, I wasn't worried about it really at all. And I was like, all right, I turned the Ravens Raiders game off when they're up 10 in the fourth quarter, thinking
yep,
this was a lock.
yep.
I had like $400 riding on this teaser, and then I turned the game back on. It's 23-23, and Gardner Minshew's just driving it down their throats. I'm like, what is going on? What happened?
It was
I think the
brutal.
entire city of Baltimore should be ashamed.
Yeah, it definitely should. But guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for this is episode number 4, but week number 3 of season 2 of H2H. Let's see if anyone made it this far into the video. Go ahead and comment 45 if you made it this far. That would be asking a lot, but you know what? You're a real OG. You're a real one if you have. We appreciate you guys. Again, go check out Outlier. That link is in the pinned comment and in the description to get 7 days free. Tasos, I think this week, I don't know how I don't feel all that great about my plays. I like what I have, but I don't feel like all that tremendous. So this is the first week coming out of H2H where I'm kind of like, all right, we'll see what happens, almost in a sense.
I feel here's what I'll say. This is probably the best I've felt about my picks all season. I still feel, and this actually, I guess is a good time to plug it. This will be the first week where I do my NFL picks show.
Yep.
Because I feel once again like I came in here. I literally have a notebook. I have a bunch of stuff written down here, and like not a single one of these plays made it into the video again. So it's just that's 2 weeks in a row where like I have a lot of good picks. Like last week, one pick I wish I could have taken was that I had the Packers money line last week against the Colts, and I couldn't share it because we didn't get an opportunity to do it. So like there's a couple of these things so I am doing a pick show this week. It'll be my first time doing like a solo, just a full slate of picks. I'm hoping next week I get an opportunity to actually use some of these picks in the video. The wheel has just not been kind to me. I don't know what I need to do. Do I need to make a sacrifice? Do I need to burn some incense? What do I do? Comment down below. What do I do to get the wheel gods back in my favor here? I think I was being too not humble enough, I should say.
Oh, okay.
I was a little too much when I won the championship, a little too much gloating. I don't know, because the wheel has not been kind.
That's what makes the show so great, though. The wheel, it's like it's not like any other sports betting. I know you know that too, but yeah, it is like the fun part about this, because even last week we felt that.
It separates the boys from the men, because I do think and it is like there's sometimes where it's like even today, like all the player props like threw me for a little bit of a loop. Like I had to basically make a decision on the fly here, and I think I don't know. I've seen some people commenting. I really do think this is one of the most unique formats on YouTube in terms of sports betting shows, because like I said, it's not as clear cookie cutter as here's our picks. Right. There you go. It kind of makes you have to do something. Call an audible, right?
Yeah, call an audible.
Fly and yeah, so little football talk there, but no, I think even though sometimes the wheel gods aren't kind, I still love the format, and I still think it is the most unique thing on YouTube. So if you guys agree, hit that subscribe button down below.
Yeah, and we'll leave you guys with that. We appreciate you tuning in yet again, and we'll be here every single week dropping on Wednesdays. So hope you guys tune back in over and over again, because this thing gets better and better. If you watched last week, you know that the show gets better and better and better as we have the records start to build out. Right now, I'm 2-0, but we'll see, come week 8 what the record is and all that. So really good stuff, guys. But yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.